Ash is a 20th century guy trapped in the Middle Ages, surrounded by evil and low on gas. This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 97, Spotlight on Army of Darkness.
Superman.
Hello and welcome to episode 97 of the Cult Faction Podcast, where tonight we will be shining our little light on the Army of Darkness.
This little light of mine.
My light's quite big.
There's no way ahead. I am Paul Hawkins. I will be your host this evening, and as for the majority of most times, I am joined by...
I've been here. There's once I wasn't here.
No, I meant like all collectively. Sometimes we
okay.
don't make it.
Okay. Well, my
I do,
name is
'cause without
Brett
me-
Summers. You took my intro. You
Sorry.
took over it.
Ooh.
Go on.
We have to put up with.
Go on, Brett, do it again. We want people to remember your name.
Feed me. Feed me.
So I am Paul Hawkins. I will be hosting the show, and as ever, well, mostly ever, I am joined by... Who cares, really? Let's go on to... And...
Damien Hicks.
Hey.
Wankers.
Come on, you set yourself up for that.
I know.
So, yeah, tonight we'll be putting on our spotlight on the Army of Darkness. But before we do that, and before we run through the film, casting our light on that, we do the bit that Damien doesn't like, where we talk about what we've been up to, if anything, and then talk about what we've been watching or listening to, because we could have listened to a podcast other than ours, or an audio book. So, Brett, as I know that you've actually done something to do with the wrestling, jiu-jitsu rather, let's come to you.
That was weeks ago, Paul.
Yeah, but we haven't spoken about it since.
Yeah, to be fair, we did shut him down because he wanted to talk about something, and we're not letting
Right, well,
him do
he's
that.
done
Okay.
stuff. That's what I mean.
No.
He's ventured out of the
So a
classroom.
couple of weeks back, he did some reffing or
Yeah.
something.
No, I helped run a tournament of over 500 people, and it went really well, and it was really hectic, but cool.
Okay, what have you done this week then?
This week,
Because we didn't want to talk about that. even though
Yeah,
we didn't talk
well,
about it last
this
week.
again, it's just the same as before. With we've downplayed the football news that's been going on with our small town Southampton. And as we head towards this Sunday and the end of the Premier League, we already know that Southampton's season finished a few weeks back. But
a week, so say months, as you honest
years, some would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just look forward to the end of that to see.
Do you think there's
what
a cunning
casualties-
plan in the fact that they've seen Wrexham, and they think if they go down, they...
Oh, good question. Who would be the celebrity or duo to buy it?
They just want that comeback story again.
Who would it that
There
would
isn't, because
inspire you?
there's no one
Just
with
for fun.
that amount.
For fun.
Oh, alright,
For
okay.
fun,
Yeah,
Damien.
Damien, just for fun.
Just for fun.
Who would be that person to get it and you're like, yes, I'm back. Here's my shirt. I've got my second shirt on now and I'm there.
Don't know.
That almost sounded like you had insight knowledge.
Yeah. I know, just, it'd be one of those things where I hope for someone and then we end up with Steven Seagal.
Well, I'm going to go for James Gunn. He's got enough money.
Steve Guttenberg.
Oh, that would be... Has he got the money?
Can
I
Michael,
doubt it. But,
can Michael
let's be
Wins-
honest. No one. I mean, the reason you could buy Wrexham was because of where they were.
Yeah. Could Michael Winslow come with him? So like there could be bits like we're about to lose and he can make noises
Yeah.
and put the other team off.
You do stuff at the start to get the crowd going.
Yeah. So, Mike Osborne went like that.
He doesn't do any of that shit anymore, does he?
No, I think that's all he does do now.
No, that's in the corporate bit. I mean,
Oh,
actually
yeah.
in the stadium, because there is absolutely no atmosphere.
Andy
It's hilarious.
Peters. I'd love it if Andy Peters bought Saints.
I wouldn't like the new kits.
No, Benson Phillips. That's what we need.
Anyway.
Gordon Ramsay,
Yeah,
He can fuck off.
just for the half-time talks.
yeah, but he'd buy a Scottish team, wouldn't
Yeah, mate. Well, no, so they're not very good. There's 82.
Well, exactly, but you could buy them. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah.
And we're just getting towards the end of, well, we've still got a little bit left, but GCSEs are well underway now. Nerves are ticking.
You think you're going to pass?
Hopefully this year. It's been 30 years. I'm gonna get that C and R. No, yeah, it's all good. And it's nice seeing the dawning revelation on the faces of teams.
That's the age of Aquarius or something. Then.
No,
It's gone on deep.
The
look of fear on the teenagers' faces as they realise actually they're going into the big band
yeah, that's
college.
Exactly it. That's
or
exactly it.
Part-time jobs or full-time jobs or.
And then I remember back and
friendships.
I wish it was me. Hair flowing, finishing school, running out into the big wide world.
Mm.
Yeah.
That probably was about 1992 as well.
93 we left.
Yeah. Just when the Army of Darkness was released in the cinemas.
Ooh. Yeah, none of us would have watched it then.
No. Okay, Damien, I'm going to come to you now.
Not a lot really.
Okay.
In all honesty, I had a complete change of plan on the barbecue thing that I was building, so I took some of it apart.
You went back to you making out of straw now.
It's now a tank.
You've regressed to straw, and then you go to bricks.
Yeah.
Why is there a big pole in it?
What?
Why have you put a big pole in it?
So I can dance.
Oh, fair play.
He can dance if he wants to.
Yeah.
That's really hard to say without singing.
Yeah.
Mm.
You can dance if you want to.
And if they don't dance, then
they don't dance
yeah.
with an old friend of mine.
Anyway, yeah, work, building stuff.
Cool.
Holiday.
Celebrate.
It's coming up soon.
It is very soon for you.
Mm.
Where are you going? What are you doing?
Is it?
I don't know.
Or is it?
Yes, it is.
No,
No, you've been.
I've been on holiday.
And we slag those continuity experts off all the time.
Yeah, you've been on.
How
was it?
It was awesome.
What happened?
Did stuff. There was a beach.
Where'd you go?
It was so hammered he doesn't even remember.
Exactly. Somewhere in Devon.
Cool. You've got one of those suntans that look like it's going to take like a week to develop.
Yeah.
Like you don't look burnt or anything at the moment.
No, well, I mean, it's not that sunny in the UK, is it, in May?
Yeah.
Let's be fair.
You have an ice cream, obviously.
Of course.
Saw the pic.
Yeah. Ice cream!
Cool.
I like the fact you still got one of those Kiss Me Quick hats. That was a fun picture you posted.
Went to Creeley. That was fun.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like a little adventure park for kids. It's awesome. Got all log flume.
Did you go on one of the rides and be sick?
No.
Wicked.
Yeah. Booyakasha.
Great one. Okay.
Jungle is massive.
What about yourself?
Thanks. I was ready.
Yeah.
I didn't
Bit of a quiet one for me.
No, I've got bored already, but yeah.
We had a few friends on Saturday, but that was about it. So let's move on. So, Brett,
Yes.
watching much of, have you, TV films? Put that in a
Yes.
sentence.
They're dead, Dave. Everybody's dead, Dave.
And what have you been watching?
Bizarrely, at school, I was coerced into letting Year 9 who had finished their work watch a film. And they, and they chose, and I'm aware, obviously, the programme itself and its history, its place in television history. They chose, I think it's in the 90s, the Little Rascals movie.
So what?
Which was like an American thing.
No, I know the film. It's just,
our gang.
why would they choose it?
That was the one they wanted to. I guess it's funny kids doing funny stuff.
Oh. And that isn't like being remade in some weird
Well, this is-
anime.
No, this is like
dark.
a live action 90s
Yeah.
movie with
Kids.
some really impressive cameos, including Mel Brooks, Leah Thompson. There are other people in it. I don't know if they had something to do with the Little Rascals historically or what, but there was some. I think Mel Brooks might have actually been in an episode. Genuinely thinking about it, but there was. I'm trying to think who else is in it now. But there's some proper like high level cameos for like a throwaway kids film that probably didn't even open at the cinema. But it was a bit weird and a bit disturbing.
Elaborate.
Well, for starter, all the kids.
I've lost interest. I'm not going to lie.
No, but I'm just like.
I wasn't expecting to need to set him up for them to continue.
But
Continue.
But all the boys are in the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
Right.
Which, you wouldn't get that nowadays, would you?
Yeah, the boys. You're allowed not to like girls. The girls smell.
They'd be like in the Super Boys Club, but they wouldn't be in the Women Haters Club.
They're kids.
And that's where I remember seeing that in songs and stuff over the years, and punk songs and rock songs. That's where that come from. It all goes back to the Little Rascals in like the 1920s when all the little boys were in the He-Man Women Haters Club. So
I've got no idea what you're talking
never
about.
seen that. There was loads of like punk rock T-shirts with it on, the whole grunge thing, and people wore the badge and all that. And it
The
all came
1920s. What's?
well, the original Little
Little
Rascals.
Rascals.
Ah, okay.
And it came all
No,
from that.
I'm just thinking of Bugsy Malone now.
I know. I can't believe we're still talking about this.
And
but
there's a
I'm
lot
going
of no, there's just a lot
I
of
might get
weird.
some gold out of it somewhere.
Yeah.
No, there's just there are some funny moments. There's just a lot of weird dialogue to hear actual young children say innocently, but could be taken in
Right.
another way. Like playing on the joke for the adult and that. And I don't know.
You ever watched a Disney film?
But no, this is weirder. It was just a little bit uncomfortable, even. And it was like, yeah, well, we know where everything's better, down where it's better. The question is, will that be in the new version? Or will they change the lyrics? Because everyone's aware of that now. But no, it was just really weird. The kids liked it and it was fun. It was very much your sort of Laurel and Hardy misadventures. Hardly, well, I'm playing it down a bit more. But it's got that kind of misadventure-y kind of thing that you'd expect from Chaplin, Buster Keaton, or Hardy in a modern film, Mr. Bean even, that sort of stuff. But it was just a bit weird and I felt a bit uncomfortable watching it. That was why I raised it. It's
cool.
So yeah, watch it and get weirded out.
His choice for next week.
Yeah.
Okay, Damien, I'm going to move on to you.
So I obviously been carrying on watching
Yellowstone.
I was about to say Homes Under the Hammer then, I don't know why. Which I have been watching occasionally. But Yellowstone, I'm now on season 4.
Oh, you've overtaken me now.
Stuff's happened.
No spoilers.
No, I won't.
Stuff's happened.
I'm going to get to the end of the season 4 and then stop because there's
How many seasons are there?
there is 5 and will only be 5.
Right.
But they haven't actually finished 5 yet, apparently.
No, isn't it 4? There's only half of 4 out, I think. There's one of I know
No,
what you
because
mean.
I'm on like 8 episodes of 4, so then they're only like 8 or 9 episodes per season.
But there's one, I know what you mean.
So
It's
season
done
5 hasn't finished filming yet, and obviously with this writer's strike and all that stuff going on, it might be some time, so I'm not going to get halfway through a season and get annoyed. And the only other thing I've been watching is I'm trying to catch up with Inside Number 9.
Oh, I watched that, yes.
So I think
Which one are you up to?
well, it's well confusing because the Christmas episode that was on at Christmas is
Yeah,
episode 1.
I did the same thing.
So I was like, hang on, I've missed one.
As it recorded number 1 and I picked up, got
exactly.
shitty and then
I haven't
realised
seen the
it.
Christmas one yet.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I only started from when you didn't start watching it.
Yeah, so I've done the one that you talked about the other week with the 2 sort of villains.
Have you done the one with the guy with the phobias?
Yeah, and then the one after that.
The dating one?
The dating one, yeah.
Yeah.
Dating one, I've done that one.
I thought the dating one was always going to be. I knew that
It
was
was
going to be.
predictable.
Yeah, that was.
But good
Still well done.
performances.
Yeah, exactly. This is it. Even if you can see the plot twist coming, they're still good.
Yeah.
But I've yet to watch. That's as far as I've got.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, my Mother's Ruin, which was the 2 brothers.
That's the best so far, I think.
Yeah, I liked it. I was also kind of drawn in on para.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to bother to attempt.
Phobia, whatever it is, because it was that was more of the old school Inside Number 9, but
It was alright.
you knew what
It was reminiscent of Quiet Night In,
and stuff like that,
which
and,
I really enjoyed. That was a really good episode.
and a little bit of the one I forgot which one it is now, where he finds the shoe
Oh yeah, I can't remember
and
what that's
stuff like
called
that one.
now.
But like but then right at the end, you got the twin. You kind of knew. Again, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Every episode of this is brilliant. But for Inside Number 9, we say this all the time. For Inside Number 9, we have it on such a high pedestal that you know.
Well, it's making me want to go back and watch the other season.
Oh, you should do.
And I will.
One day.
Okay.
I think that is it.
Cool. Okay. So I have been watching Inside Number 9, but I'm only up to where you are. I haven't watched the last one. Silo, carrying on watching that on Apple TV. It's alright. Kills an hour or so. The one I have been watching and have completed is The Swarm. So this is on Sci-Fi. It's based on a book by Frank Schatzing that was released early 2000s or something, which I read probably about 15 years ago. So it kind of piqued my interest. It was a real big old book as well, so I always kind of thought, well, they're never going to make that into a film. And they didn't. They made it into a TV series.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which actually, you know, we often talk about, you know, things that are made for films that would have been better in a series. They've done what I think is a sterling job.
I knew he was going to say it. It's going to be a sterling.
It's one of those ones I started watching it.
Top notch.
And it's, you know, produced by lots of different countries and all this kind of stuff, and you automatically feel, but actually it works really well. Because obviously it's set in, well, I say obviously, to give a quick synopsis without giving anything away, load of researchers all around the world and they start finding out things are happening with wildlife in the sea acting strangely. This starts progressing.
It's not like that one with John Cusack in where the enzymes are rebelling or whatever it is. He said something. What is it? Oh, I can't remember what it is now. It's so stupid.
Like The Day After Tomorrow or something. One of them ones.
One of them ones.
It's kind of similar in theme, i.e. nature's starting to go a bit weird. Whales are attacking, crabs are attacking, all that kind of good stuff.
Attacking what?
People.
Oh.
Yeah. But they try and work out what the freak is going on. I won't ruin it. It deviates slightly from the book, but not necessarily in a bad way. I think it's got good performances. The effects are actually really good for a TV series. Performances are okay. It plays well in the fact that it's made by lots of different countries because they've got all the, you know, the crew and equipment.
Like
and
the UN sort of thing.
Yeah. And as I said, I watched the whole series, and it's kind of ended nicely in the fact that even if there's not a series 2, there's an ending, but it also leaves it open for a season 2 if they manage to get the viewers.
And this is sci-fi.
It is.
Sci-fi, I should say.
It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea because it's not, you know, battles and all that kind of stuff. It's more about the eco type stuff, but it's very sci-fi driven. Great novel.
Greta's not in it, is she?
No.
Good.
No.
Who's in it?
Greta.
Oh yeah.
But as I said, it'd be interesting to see your take on it. It is on Sci-Fi. Against another, I think, win for Sci-Fi.
They're waiting to hear news of season 2 at the moment. The figures of the first season are currently being evaluated. That's the quote.
Well, it's
speaking of season 2s,
yeah,
Lockwood and Co's not getting one.
Oh, isn't it?
No.
Okay. That's a bit of a shame. Like that.
was good.
I was going to watch that, but I was waiting to see.
Well, there is no
You
necessarily
don't need to-
cliffhanger. You don't need to. It's not going to be one of those annoying
cliffhangers.
cliffhanger endings.
No, it culminates really well, from what I remember. But Swarm's just come out as well, so no doubt figures will, either go up or down as the series actually plays out in real time, as opposed to people like me that watch it all in one go. So give that a watch. Brett, anything else from you that is actually relevant?
Tell us about your eco drama again.
Sci-fi eco. Sci-fi.
It didn't work.
Based on a
dolphin
real
computer game, it won't work. No one cares.
Based on a cult book, hence why. And on Sci-Fi.
To be fair, in your defending Paul for a change, in his defence.
Yeah, as opposed to Little Rascals.
Yeah.
lasted a lot longer than that one was.
It
Anyway,
wasn't one film.
yeah.
Jones is the 1920s.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
The franchise is over 100 years old.
when was the last thing that was made?
Anyway,
I
come
don't
on.
know. Hey, kids from school want to watch it. I didn't pick Swedish eco drama one.
Well, it's more too cerebral for a minute.
Yeah.
Probably.
Come on, what else? Yes.
And subtitles is reading, isn't it? I'm trying to think what else I've been watching. No, I made a point of trying to catch it on Inside Number 9, actually. That's been most of my other free time in the week. And just, bit of Murder, She Wrote, Diagnosis Murder. Just filling out gaps when I've had a chance to sit down in front of the telly, really.
Cool. So you haven't been watching anything with the good lady
No movie nights.
where you make her watch something she doesn't want to and vice versa?
That normally involves what we cover on this, so...
Okay, cool. Then in that case, we're done.
Sweet.
Ooh.
Because I never know, obviously, how long this part's going to last. I have to do this, so I apologise.
It's all
That's all right.
right.
Good to go?
Yeah.
That's Cult Faction.
That's Cold Faction. Forgot about our
Viewers.
listeners.
It's all right. They're still there. Behind the magic.
Yeah, well, you can cut this bit out.
He's not going to.
They love it. These are the extra bits they die for. Spotlight.
Right, written by Ivan and Sam Raimi and directed by the latter. Army of Darkness premiered in 1992, going on for general release in 1993. It was the third instalment of the Evil Dead series and was made on a budget of 11 mil. Not a lot in those days.
No?
Yeah, not at all.
Okay, main cast. Okay, so the main cast included Brucey Campbell as Ashley Ash J. Williams and Evil Ash.
Evil Ash.
Embeth Davidtz as Sheila, or Davidtz. Marcus Gilbert as Lord Arthur. Ian Abercrombie as Wise Man. Was he in anything, Brett?
He's been in everything.
Richard Grove as Duke Henry the Red. Timothy Patrick Quill, good name, as Blacksmith. Michael R. Reed as Goldtooth. Bridget Fonda, hello, as Linda. Bill Moseley as Deadite Captain, and Patricia Tallman as the Possessed Witch. It was nominated for and won a number of different awards, including the Saturn Award. Everything wins
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say,
Saturn Award.
Are we just going through a list of Saturn Award winners and we're not aware of it?
Won that in 1994 for the
But
best
no
horror.
one's won a Saturn Award since 1995.
It received mixed reviews. Some loved Raimi's comedy, the film's effects. Bruce Campbell's performance got notably shouted out as being a strong performance for his role. However, many disliked the move away from the more traditional horror vibe of the original, the one that gave me nightmares. The studio and Raimi also had major differences during post-production, which even resulted in Universal Pictures changing the original ending and releasing a different theatrical ending to make things more uplifting. Because that's what you want from a horror film, isn't it? It did have a disappointing return at the box office for it to be labelled a smash, but it became a video star and managed to return around 22 million, so almost double its budget. It went on to spawn the TV show Ash vs. Evil Dead, and also, more importantly, and more recently, the new film Evil Dead Rise. Okay, now it's time for us to put our spotlight on the Army of Darkness. So first of all, memories. Mr. Summers, Army of Darkness.
Yeah, I remember this when it came out, and a few people were going mad about it, and it was kind of, wasn't it? Like, to me, it was a bit of a balls up in promotion, because like at one point people didn't realise it was Evil Dead, and then it was Evil Dead Army of Darkness, and then it was Bruce Campbell versus the Army of Darkness, and then it was, didn't it have about 5 or 6 different names? I just remember, like, when it came out, it was just like, and then eventually it was accepted that it was like the sequel.
Well, I think that's
to Evil Dead, and it just, I think it just confused everyone.
But I think that's the thing. I think they wanted to make it more mainstream, and from the complete tone of the film, very different to Evil Dead. So to try and attract, more moviegoers that may have been put off by, oh, it's another horror film. But you're right. As opposed to calling it Evil Dead 3.
Yeah, or because the one I watched, and I never noticed it before, maybe I wasn't paying attention. The version I watched for this is Bruce Campbell versus the Army of Darkness.
I don't know. I don't think it was labelled that. And
that was on Amazon.
I don't know. I was just happy that it was free.
No, but you get his name and like the white says like Bruce Campbell versus, and it's the Army of Darkness.
Okay, I just did a search for Army of Darkness.
Watch the first one that came up.
Press play.
Yeah, no, that's what I did on Amazon.
Bonus, it's free.
But I liked it because it sort of, well, we're going to that, but it evokes the old serials, like the old black and white. Tune in next week, cliffhanger serials and all that. But yeah, I remember them waiting on video for it. I never went to the cinema, saw this. I remember it on video, and then years later getting made to watch it again. And it had a totally different ending to the one I'd seen before. And I was like, this isn't the same film. And they're like, yeah, it is. And having arguments about it. And, yeah, I think it was a confusing project when it dropped, as the kids say.
Cool. And that kind of aligns with the disagreements between the Universal Pictures, probably, and Sam Raimi. And the characters. Damien!
Yes.
Army
right, memories. Yes. So I had a bootleg, a mate of mine had a bootleg copy of this. I had a friend.
That was, mate yours.
Yeah, it was banging to doing the old VHS to VHS recording, and he got a copy, and then did his own copy, which probably made the rendering even worse than the original. But
was it that point where it was so bad you could barely see the screen?
It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't the best.
Was it better than the AB button?
Yeah, it's definitely better than the AB button.
Am I the only one that struggles watching standard definition now?
I've got no problem with standard definition at all.
I hate it.
It doesn't bother me at all.
Standard def films.
As long as I can see and hear, I don't really care that it's not HD. Anyway, back to Evil Dead. And I remember being extremely annoyed. I was one of those that was annoyed that it went camp and not even. I don't think I even saw the second one, but I was annoyed that this wasn't like the first one, because that scared the shit out of me. Admittedly, I was obviously a lot younger when I saw it, but even so, it went from scary ass witchy thing in the cabin in the cellar to camp stooges. So I wasn't overly happy.
Cool, you were one of those.
I was one of those,
that didn't necessarily like the change.
Yeah.
Cool.
100%.
I didn't necessarily go near it with a barge pole because I obviously had visions of Evil Dead from when I was very, very small. Crept downstairs, had nightmares because I was watching it when my mum and dad were watching it and they didn't know about it. So yeah, but I have seen it. I know that I have seen it because I was watching it and it rang a lot of bells.
Now because you're about to talk about it.
Yeah. But as I was rewatching it, but it must have been. there's a familiar trait here. It must have been one of those occasions when it was on the Sky or something like that, and I may have had a couple of beers at the time because I remembered bits, but yeah, that was about it.
I remember what it was. Not saying melee.
Cool. Okay. You can let me know afterwards.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So that's our vague memories of it. But let's not give anything away because Damien's views may have changed on a rewatch. They may not have, but hey. Okay. So now we're going to run through the plot. We may chip in with any relevant comments as and when we go through, if needed.
If required.
Yeah.
Okay. So, stirring music as Ash is being dragged as a slave whilst given a voiceover. We get a flashback to the original Evil Dead and the Necronomicon and some of the backstory. It starts affecting Ash and he chops off his wrists and then gets sucked into a vortex.
I may have missed out a word or two.
Yeah, I think I managed to.
We've all had those nights.
Ash and his car fall to earth with a bump. Soldiers on horseback are riding around him. The soldiers start stabbing the car, not knowing what kind of creature it may be. A knight calls a wise man over who says that Ash may be the one prophesied in the Necronomicon to fall from the heavens and deliver them from the horrors of the Deadites. But instead he's treated as one of Henry's men and taken to the pits.
Yeah, because it's like, it's clear that he wasn't with him. You've just seen this guy drop in it. He's got a chainsaw arm. He looks nothing like it. He's got a car. And that car's been in more films than most actors. But it's even in the recent, Raimi did the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness film. The car's in that.
Is it?
Yeah. It's all like, it's still there. It's still going.
Oldsmobile, isn't it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's got a name. It's got its own bloody social media account.
It's got some
you know what I mean?
Wikipedia
Yeah,
page,
you know,
I think.
yeah. It's but,
Okay, so we've literally set the scene. He's given a quick previously on
yeah,
in the recap, and then it's straight to it.
yeah. It doesn't mess around. That's what I say. It reminds you of those old sort of 1920s, 30s kind of. Oh, I'm in the 20s and 30s this week. Aren't
Yeah.
we? And those old serials.
Saturday morning serial.
Previously
matinee
on,
type things.
you know.
Yeah.
Now let's tune in and see if Ash can save the day. I really liked that. I got really into it, and I was, yeah, cool.
You're pumped up.
Yeah, I was pumped. And then we have Ash in his shackles, and he's being whipped, and he's being taken to Arthur's castle. He and the other prisoners arrive. We meet Sheila, who asks about her brother, who the knight says has been killed. And that seems to be the last bit of emotion she ever remembers about her brother, because that's good.
Yeah, she moves on quite quickly.
Kids start beating Ash up, and Sheila says that her brother shall be avenged. The guards open a pit, and the prisoners thrown into it, and after a moment of silence, there's a scream, and then blood gushes up in the air like some sort of geyser. One of the prisoners tries to escape, and Arthur shoots him down with a crossbow, and then the crowd all turn to look around at the next person in line, which is our boy Ash.
Yeah, so again, we're already getting a sense of kind of film because that blood spurting out of the pit. It's
very red for a start.
and there's lots of
There's
it.
a lot of it.
It's like
Yeah,
they've literally
for one
struck
person.
red gold. You know.
But then that's almost the director trademark in it, because you get the same thing in the second one, which I have now seen since the first time I watched this.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, normally someone gets covered in it, and for once, no one does.
Yeah.
So I was
that's
like,
right.
you're right there. And again, I thought it was good. Again, setting the scene. I like the matte painting of the castle against the desert.
Yeah, and before I forget, because I can't remember exactly where it is in the film, but there's a it's that night siege piece. You can clearly see that there's a blanket behind the castle, so they got the mat.
Make it a bit dark.
Yeah, so but you can see the kind of the folds in the blanket.
Oh man, but
Anyway,
again, my critique on that is when, because let's give Mr. Sam Raimi credit. He invented a lot of effects and a lot of techniques that we only talked about it the other day about something about how it was very Evil Dead, where the camera was following tremors
it's on the
and stuff like that.
camera's right the way down on the floor.
But it's almost now. Is it there because that's his budget, or is it there because it's it's niche now? Is it his he's almost like making it like that on purpose because that's what he's expected to be at this point in his career. See what I mean? Is he playing it up? That's what I'm saying more. Because some of that stuff looks really cool and I get it, and then you get these little bit, and through the film, there are things where it's like, oh, is that because just, to be on the cheap, or are you trying to be clever and show us the magic behind the camera type thing, or is it just that you just couldn't be asked and it's
I think
cheap?
he just couldn't be asked, to be fair. By the time this got into production, I think he probably had enough. It just threatened the whole situation. And I don't know if we've heard from him by this point, but King, whatever his name is, the other
Lord Arthur.
no, not Lord Arthur, the other one.
Edward.
The one from Jilly Cooper's Riders.
Yeah, his accent is terrible. Let's make no bones about it. It's worse than Mel Gibson in Braveheart. Or even...
Oh, no, the one from Jilly Cooper's Riders is the one that accuses him again. He's the one that he's always just played posh Englishman.
Not him.
You're about the one that comes in and say, the Red King.
Henry the Red.
Henry.
He's worse than Christopher Lambert in
anything.
anything but Highlander.
I quite like Christopher Lambert.
I've got nothing against the fellow, and obviously Highlander is classic, but his accent is terrible.
Like I said before, you've got a Scottishman being a Spanishman, a Frenchman being a Scotchman. It's like someone took some shit when they cast that.
Yeah, but at least Sean Connery didn't bother attempting. It's just like, no, it's going to be me.
Oh yeah, I am Sean Connery.
Yeah. His accent would have been spot on for the 80s after he'd lived in all those different countries, but not when he's first starting off as a Klansman. Yeah. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with this. So,
back to the film in hand.
Ash tries to plead his innocence. However, Sheila gets her revenge on him and throws a stone at him, knocking him off balance, and he falls into the pit. He looks around, and a hand appears from the water. It's a deadite, and it starts attacking him. The crowd are all cheering because it's their entertainment. As Ash starts fighting back, the guards start winching the spike walls in on Ash. So we know it's only a matter of time before something kills him, whether it's a deadite or the walls. However, the wise man on Ash's side, obviously because he's the saviour, throws Ash's chainsaw to him, and after a few minutes of trying to get it started, he catches it on his stump first of all. Then he tries to get it started, manages to get it going, decapitates the deadite. More start appearing, and he starts chopping off their limbs. He manages to grab hold of the chain and escapes the pit. So yeah, I was watching that thinking, well, at least I don't need to be worried that I'm going to have nightmares about this.
Yeah.
I could kind of see some of the critics now. If you're not on the wavelength of this film, I could imagine you just switching off.
Yeah, this is it.
I almost did at this point.
What, this time round?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Because they set it out really well, and it had that. I was accepting of the cheese thing of it. Well, actually, no, maybe it might have been just after this. But the stump catch, I could just about tolerate because you're like, things like that happen in these sorts of films. Indiana Jones has done enough of them, and I don't like him. But it just got a little bit cheesy, and I felt, was that the person Patricia Tallman played? Because she plays was it the witch? So I'm just going back to the car. She's possessed witch. Is that the possessed witch? Because it was like,
no, the possessed witch is the one in the bed chamber, I think. Anyway.
Oh yeah. That makes it a bit better. But again, still, huge actress of cult status comes in and got 10 seconds. No, but I don't know. It was alright. It was alright. But I was starting to the warm fluffiness of the Saturday morning cereal was starting to wear off a little bit here. And again, I think it's what you said, Paul, as well. It's made for a certain wavelength. Sam Raimi, especially at this point, had a certain way of doing things as we talked about earlier. And I think this is almost Sam Raimi's battle with... This is Sam Raimi's Mallrats of wanting to do the story he wants to do, but the studio giving him more money to do it and asking him to do other things as well. And it's that trying to keep your original vision while people are trying to pump more money into it to make it bigger and more spectacular than what you want to do, maybe something like that. But yeah, I'm still on board at this point, but I was starting to get a bit. And then but yeah.
Ash makes it to the top and stands in front of Arthur and says, "You know your shoelace is untied." Arthur looks down and he punches him in the face. He looks around asking who's next. No one wants to take up the challenge. Ash then frees Henry and his men. Arthur gets his sword out and Ash blows it in half with his shotgun, his boomstick. He then threatens anyone who comes near him that they'll get the same as the Deadite who he shoots and sends back to the pit.
Yeah.
See, this is actually where I started to chuckle. Because obviously knowing what I know now about the film, but as in going into it knowing it wasn't the straight horror film that the original was, I bought into the boomstick.
The boomstick line was everywhere at one point though. I can remember seeing that like on bus stops, in toilet doors, written on walls. No, was it like
Well,
this is
wherever you
no, but I remember it like it was on the wall in the Hobbit and places like that. It was like was it like this is my boomstick? This is I can't remember the quote now.
Michigan made something. Yeah, he goes on about.
But that was but that bit used to be. I think there was a T-shirt and
Probably.
that went. That was like a big thing at the time. And but yeah, it was fun that bit. I like that. Shooting stuff's cool.
He also gives another line as well about Jack and shit and I'm all out of Jack or something as well. And it's just these forced one-liners that I don't necessarily have an issue with, but I just got almost hark-backs to Big Trouble in Little China when those lines were actually delivered really well and setting up a scene and then something funny would happen on the back of it, as opposed to this where it just felt really forced just to make his character try and be cooler than he actually is. I don't know.
I think that is the point with Ash.
Oh no, I know.
Is that he is a chump. He's no hero. You know, he's not Rowdy Roddy Piper in They Live.
Yeah.
He's not
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell in
Kurt Russell's not the hero in Big Trouble in Little China.
I don't mean but he's not a dumbass though, is he? He's not. Bruce Campbell in this is a store clerk who got caught up in some shit, and he's not really necessarily got an ounce of heroism in him or daring do that your traditional hero has.
But he does now.
Well, he does in this. This is it. It's just him becoming.
No, I was going to say actually no. The cleverest thing about him in all this is that he's not that brave. He's just got the upper hand because he knows stuff they don't.
Yeah.
The whole
and
science.
all he wants to do is get home.
Yeah.
So.
No, but the whole let's beat them with science. He's like, well, I've got a gun. They haven't got a gun. So, of course, I'm going to stand in front of you and you can wave your sword at me. I'm just going to shoot you.
Yeah.
You know, he's almost like got that technology upper hand all the way through. And that's what makes him brave. He's almost like, you know, he's levelled up a few levels above everyone else and then he's gone back and just wiped everyone out. But, yeah, that was cool. It's me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so then this is a bit. Well, I was about, we cut to Ash. He's been treated like royalty. Sheila is begging forgiveness. The wise man says that the Necronomicon can send him home, but then a Deadite appears and starts attacking. Played by Patricia Tallman from Babylon 5. Ash finishes her with a karate kicks and his trusty shotgun. Then they make him a new robotic arm. Sheila gives him some sugar. Oh, yes. Ash, the wise man, and a few knights ride out the next day to find the Necronomicon. Ash makes the deal if he gets the book, they send him home and he rides off. He rides for a mystical word. A spirit chases him. He gets knocked off a horse, but makes it to a windmill and locks himself inside. He then smashes a mirror and all his tiny reflections start attacking him. When we get a lot of slapstick, stooge-like battles ensuing, and he's knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
It was a weird kind of almost montage into scene, this bit, because you get a lot of stuff. You get like the party that he's enjoying while being treated like royalty. Then, like you say, he gets a bit jiggy. Then suddenly you get like the fight, and then you see a man making a new hand. Something else happens, and then we're there.
It's a real montage of.
Yeah.
Let's not go into too much detail. Let's just have key moments and,
Here,
and move on.
Here are some plot points.
Yeah.
He's now got a new hand. That happened, and that happened. Yeah, and it was. Yeah, this is where the tiny reflections bit was a bit. Although reading on it, one of them was his dad, so that must be quite funny to do. They need people that look like him.
So this is exactly where I remember shutting off in 1993. It's like stupid.
The windmill I liked because they almost, but I was almost like, could it not have just been the cabin again? You know, just that little. I know he's in a different place, or whatever, but just like that kind of. It's been there that long. You know, that kind of.
He's in a different country.
Yeah, but the cabin might be multi-dimensional and shovel. You know, like with just that kind of. You know, like it's always been there to protect the book. Or
like you, I mean, I've done a bit of reading since, and he just really wanted to get away from the cabin, so then put the cabin back in. Yeah, there's not a lot of difference, to be fair.
That's what I mean. It's just, if you're going to do that, it could have been. It didn't have to be in there all the time. He wasn't, but it could have just been like that. He suddenly realises that, or he sees the trapdoor on the floor, sound like, shit, I'm here again, or whatever. Just to make it more. I think it would have made it more scarier or anticipation from the viewer because we would know where he is, but they didn't.
Fair enough, yeah. But yeah, the whole slapstick, little people running around. Yeah.
At least they weren't little stay past marshmallow men. Marshmallow men.
They did something.
Okay, so Ash wakes up and he's tied up. One of the reflections dives into his throat. And of course he drinks some boiling water to try and get it. However, he starts mutating and grows another head, Zaphod Beeblebrox style. And then 2 new legs. Then forms a new replicant of himself. And Bad Ash emerges. Good Ash shoots him with his shotgun. Obviously. Ash chains Bad Ash up. Oh God. Ash chains Bad Ash up and saws him into pieces and then digs a hole to bury him. He sets out again on his trusty steed to find the Necronomicon. He finds that there are 3 books. He opens the first, and a vortex sucks him in, and he manages to drag himself out. The second book attacks him, and he can't remember the incantation that the wise man told him, and he tries to fudge it. He just mumbles under his breath.
For one coughs a bit.
Yeah. He picks up the book, and the air starts to shake, and all hell begins to break loose.
Klaatu, brother, Yeah, the Daffy Duck shit I didn't like.
Expand.
Like he had the big face, shakes his face, turns a little bit on, shakes it again.
Oh yeah. I was thinking of Beetlejuice when that was happening, which was what, 5 years before. Maybe not as long as that. What was Beetlejuice? 88.
Yeah, something like that.
So.
No, it just reminded me like the old sort of Looney Tunes kind of.
Yeah.
And it was just like, or do it once, not 3 times.
Yeah.
It was like, do it once, you're back to normal. Haha.
And he'd never obviously seen House either, because you can't just chop up somebody and bury them without them coming back to life.
Needed to speak to Roger Cobb on that one.
Yeah.
He'd have known.
Yeah, Raimi nixed that in Doctor Strange as well. He goes back to that idea and puts that in. The free Necronomicon, was it needed? Does it make it any? All he had to do was remember the thing for the day the Earth stood still.
Yeah.
But it is a nice reference. I like it. But do we need 3 books? Did it do anything apart from set up the 3 different things that happen to it? You know, he has a fight with a book. He gets his face sucked big, and then it's just again, it's Stooges stuff. Which is fine in a 5-minute sketch, but I get that I like the Three Stooges. I got some of the references, but you don't need it
rammed down your throat.
Yeah.
Okay then, so skeletons start attacking Ash as he grabs the boom
Stick,
thank you, and rides off. Bad Ash rises from the grave. Ash makes it back to the castle and gives the Necronomicon to the wise man.
Can I just say, I'm really proud of us all. You know, we're not the best at saying shit.
Yeah, but we're doing pretty well with Necronomicon.
Necronomicon.
If I don't think about it too much, it's all right.
We can't pronounce names of people and
you've cursed it now.
all that kind of stuff.
I pity the poor fool that has to say it next. Because Ash didn't say the correct words, the dead have arisen. Arthur says that they'll return him to his own time despite his error. The dead start attacking and capture Sheila. Bad Ash is forming his army of the Deadites and is delivered Sheila.
As a prize, really.
Yeah. I thought the little bat, or not little, the flying Deadite was quite a good effect. There's nothing wrong with the effects in this.
No, it's not too.
That's nice. Some nice like Harryhausen tribute and all that sort of thing, and that's done on purpose, and that's cool.
Okay.
So when does Evil Ash become
Bad Ash?
Bill Moseley? Because the Deadite captain.
I think it's from when he wakes up.
When he wakes up, okay.
As in,
so we've got Bill Moseley now from
he's rotted.
House of Thousand Corpses and all that.
Even though he's only been in the ground for like an hour.
Yeah.
He's
chopped up.
He's decomposed.
Soil in those days was terrible.
Yeah, it was much more healthy and good for growing stuff than it is now. The army of the dead are coming, and Ash starts to rally a call to fight them, getting Henry to help. Paul, what have you got?
Oh, right.
The army of the dead are coming, and Ash starts the rally call to fight them.
Getting Henry to help.
There
we go, full stop.
Yeah, so I'll ignore those words there. One by one, the people start feigning allegiances. Sheila has now returned. Ash goes all MacGyver and forms an arsenal of weapons. Oh, she's been turned, yeah. Sorry, Paul. Sorry.
She's been turned evil.
She's been turned. Ash goes all MacGyver and forms an arsenal of weapons and contraptions to fight the Deadites. The Deadite army advances on the castle. Sheila and Bad Ash at the lead. They attack and are repelled with explosive arrows. Another wave approaches and catapults are used, again with flaming stuff on.
Yep.
Things start looking bad, and it's all up to whether Henry and his troops will arrive. As the defences are broke, Ash runs off and all is lost.
It is all lost.
Yeah, nice little sort of 18-like moment with all the stuff from the boot of the car.
Yeah,
and apparently
Science
from reading
101 or something.
Yeah, apparently from reading it, that wasn't even a thing. That was just what he had in his boot. That wasn't. They weren't like plot. Like we'll put a science book in here and we'll make that. It was just use what's in the car, and that was what was in the boot of the Fangoria.
I refuse to accept that.
Oh, of course it is, but it's folklore, isn't it? It's
no, it's not. It's made up.
Yeah, it's down as the facts that he just wanted them to use the thing, but then Sam Raimi probably would have that in his boot because he's weird. Or he was then. He hadn't become mainstream accepted at this point.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, it was right, very 18-like. But again, I like the whole fact of he's not necessarily being brave; he's being clever because he's got all this knowledge of stuff.
Yeah.
To blow them up, and they don't know about it yet because they haven't discovered it.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and some nice. Some of the skeletons, I know they were doing Harryhouse, and some of it was a bit, but it worked.
And again, I thought all the effects were actually good. You know.
But it was more than that, the inconsistencies, because some of it would be like look really good, and then there'd be another bit where there was clearly just a skeleton stood there and blown up.
But again, I wasn't sure whether that was just done for effect.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it part of the ha slapstick of
I think
Evil
it is.
Dead, or is it? That's what I'm saying. But this is where it's getting lost a bit now. I think from the being on the Raimi frequency, which I like how you put that earlier, to sort of being like Have we seen it? Because that's done like 6 or 7 times at least.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay, once was funny, or or whatever, and then let's do it again, and let's do it again, and it's probably the same skeleton keeps getting put back together and blown up again, you know.
Yeah.
And that was where I was a bit, because the animation stuff when they're walking up and they're trying to ram the door, I like all that. So, you know, it's ramming the door, and but all appears to be lost though, and old Prince, whatever his name is,
Henry?
sort of like Prince. Yeah, no, he's all
Arthur?
Arthur's all like,
Lord Arthur.
you know, we've been abandoned tonight because he thinks that Ash has bottled it. But Ash reappears, driving his pimped-up battle machine, and starts tearing down the enemy in droves, but just can't bring himself to take down Sheila. Although she looks normal again at this point, so I think he's confused and thinks she's all right, or tries to get out. Although she is doing weird sort of seductive sorcery things with her arms that may hint at she's not quite the person she was. But anyway, Sheila attacks him, so he kicks her into the pit. Ban Ash makes a play for the book, and Ash goes to defend. As he's taken out the number of Deadites like Legolas, Sheila attacks him again. He spikes her and spears Ban Ash, and the epic fight begins. As all looks lost, Henry's army arrive. Ash dispenses a Ban Ash. Sheila comes back to normal, and the two armies now face each other in a standoff. But then they're all friends and allies. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Huzzah! Yeah. So again, there's no messing around. You know, you don't have to wait anything. There's no drawn out walking or epic adventures to get somewhere.
That's true.
It's literally bosh, action. Cool. Anything else to mention before I move on?
No.
That's just a nice bit. So I like to think that Henry was just waiting there. Like, no, we won't go yet. Too many of them, right?
Yeah.
Too many of them, right?
Yeah, just hold on a minute. Hold on.
Wait till you see the whites of their eyes, lads.
Yeah.
What's that cool car thing? Right, go, go, go.
And let's face it, back in those days, the way that armies would attack was literally just walking in a straight line. So he was probably thinking, our normal ways of fighting aren't going to work against this crowd. Cool. Okay, so as they agreed, Ash is given the potion to awaken his own times. 6 drops is all it will take. Okay, he says bye to Sheila and heads off to a cave with his new battle car in tow. And he blows up the cave's entrance basically to protect him so that when he's sleeping, he can wake up in his own time. So, but he gets distracted. I think the cave falls in, or because of
something happens. There's just some stones dropping in the distance.
And instead of 6 drops, he takes 7 drops of the potion. Time machine style, the world changes outside as the years pass on.
I wanted to see some people get faster.
Ash wakes and makes his way out of the cave, only to find the world in chaos.
I overslept.
According to the film that we watched. However, if you watched it at the cinema, you'd have got a very different ending.
And in America?
Yeah, I was talking to our listeners in America.
I didn't know that. I just assumed it was all theatrical releases.
So did I.
There's I think there's about 8 versions now.
Cool, okay.
So what happens in the other version, Paul?
He wakes up as a hero, doesn't he?
He goes back to his job in the S-Mart. Is that what it's called?
S-Mart.
And the Deadite attacks, but he saves the day and is a hero.
And then Snugs Bridget Fonda again.
I haven't seen that ending, so I don't know. All I know is that
it's just basically like you saw it right at the beginning when he's in the shop. It's just basically, I guess, and it was all filmed at the same time, and then he just sort of shoots it, snogs her, haha, and that's the end. You know, just
happy ending, everyone. Okay, Brett, what do we think?
I think it's a very mixed bag, which might not be Sam Raimi's fault. For someone who was such a entrepreneur of in how to make film and very innovative, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's actually quite clever on this. I just think this is, as I said earlier, this is that bit where the indie filmmaker got the big budget and the expectations from the big studio, and whilst he was still trying to make his own film, because there are bits of this, you know, there's like, you get these big expensive scenes with loads of extras in the castle and all that, and then you get 30 minutes of Bruce Campbell fighting himself. And it's just like, and it's almost like money scene, cheap scene, money scene, cheap scene, and it's getting more obvious as it goes along. And I think that was maybe the sort of, I think he probably learned a lot making this film, but I think it also kind of breaks it up a little bit here and there. Especially, like, if you're into it and you know what you're doing, you're going to love it. For Joe Public walking in who's never seen any of the other ones, they probably wonder what the hell was going on at some points. Some of them would have liked it, some of them would have been...
Or, weirdly enough, if they didn't know about the first two, and if they were expecting just a funny film...
Yeah, I'd agree. Well, I think it's so far removed from the other two.
As I said, they're going to have a bloody shock when they go, we should go and watch the other two do.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. It's in that kind of middle of the road. There's some really, really cool bits. There's some bits that's a bit like... But again, we know that this was all over the place. The fact that there's like 15 edited versions with different bits left in and out and everything like that. It's have they made like a super director's definitive cut of this?
I don't know. But you're right. In post production, there was a load of reshooting that took place. I don't know how much of Sam Raimi was involved in that at the time, or whether he was literally just there doing what the Universal Pictures were telling him to do because they had the overall say. But yeah, okay. Damien,
I enjoyed it this time round more than I did originally, because obviously having seen it before, I wasn't expecting a straightforward horror. But as a comedy horror, it doesn't really. There's no scares. There's no scares at all. So it is just a slapstick comedy film.
Yeah.
With inverted commas, zombies, if you like, deadites. So it's not.
Yeah.
When you consider that if you consider the comedy horror films that had been made in throughout the 80s.
Yeah.
This coming off the back of that, it's almost as if it feels like this was filmed before the likes of House and American Wealth in London, because there isn't any scares.
What was the camera on Bloodbath and the House of How I Was?
Oh, there's loads of those. Yeah, exactly. And even they're more. I mean, to be fair, I mean, the old Hammer horror films are scarier than this. Yeah. All that being said, because I knew what to expect this time round, and having probably because I watched both seasons of Ash vs Evil Dead, which I did find hilarious.
There's three seasons, right?
I thought there was only two. I thought the third one didn't get made. Doesn't matter. It's not important.
Yeah.
Don't.
No, I'm just saying you might have a season to watch.
Maybe, but yeah. Either way,
you're still watching Yellowstone. Give me a break.
So having watched all those and knowing what the thing that surrounds it now, I did enjoy it a lot more than I was expecting to, because I'd only ever watched it once on that bootleg copy from 1992, straight 3, whenever it was.
Cool. I'm pretty much of the same opinion to you in regards to the comedy horror genre, in the fact that there was no horror in this.
Yeah.
There was blatant attempts at gore.
Yeah, that doesn't equate horror to me though. So.
No, exactly. But yeah, it just failed in being part of that, and it wasn't funny enough to be a comedy film. I struggled with it because I like horror films now. I've moved on from being a 4-year-old kid. And look forward to trying, or directors and writers to try and scare me.
Yeah.
I don't mind comedy films either, but I like writers and directors to try and make me laugh. This fell in between all of those different cracks. I must admit, if I'd have seen this back in the 80s, if it was made in the 80s, it would, as part of watching it as a trilogy night, it probably would have been quite nice because you have the first two and then you watch this one before you go to bed. But no, it just felt rushed, and we often say this as well. But I think it's quite a short film, something like 88 minutes or something like that. And we've already mentioned the fact that there's no preamble, there's no real dialogue, there's no real movement.
No.
And some of the films that we reviewed over the last year, we often complain because it's too long. Like in Krull, where it takes them half hour just to find the bloody
horses to then go on the journey.
But this just seemed to try and move too quickly, and maybe that is to try and, the sense to try and make it more appealing to a Western cinema goers, where they feel like there can't be any real build up of characters or whatever in this kind of film. But because there is no build up, you don't really care about Sheila turning bad.
Well, if you think about it, she gets about 5 minutes of screen time and about 3 lines.
Yeah.
The only person that gets to talk in this film really is Bruce Campbell, Arthur, and the Wise Man.
Yeah, and there's also no horror, so there's none of the original Evil Dead where there's that change and she's being possessed and taken over.
Which is what annoyed me the first time.
Yeah.
The scariest bit in this is him running to the windmill and you get the old camera angles chasing him that again. The classic Evil Dead bit.
Yeah.
And then, as I say, it's a windmill, not a cabin, but that's the bit where, there's the bit everyone wanted.
The only thing I will say is this makes me look forward to Evil Dead Rise and watching that probably even more. Because you see what was attempted to veer away from the scariness. And now Evil Dead Rise is like, well, forget about this. We're going back to its roots.
Old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Brett, scores on the doors.
See, I was just going on that. See, I do want to watch Evil Dead Rise, but it's not on my, I need to go and see that now. I'll watch it when it's on. Oh, that'll be good. I'll watch that then. But I'm not feeling the adrenaline buzz to go, and I know that it's redoing it, and then he's going to come back after he said he wouldn't, and all that sort of thing, to reprise Ash, and now they might do a film every couple of years or something.
Depends on how this one goes, doesn't it?
And all that. Well, it's made big buck already. It's not a box office flop. It's made.
Let's put it this way. I'm not going to rush out to the cinema to watch it, but as soon as it's available
I'll end up watching
to buy.
But
on
I'm
the
not
streaming
in that.
service, I'll be
but
buying
it's not
it.
one of those like I must see this now. Now I've seen that. I'm going to go and watch the other one. I almost want to go back and watch the original Evil Dead now.
See, I did that not so long ago, and that still stands up in my opinion. Apart from, well, no, not even the special effects, because even when I was rewatching it, I gave it in the back of my head. I thought, no, this is filmed 30.
1978,
40 years ago.
And then they remade it with the second one anyway, really.
Yeah, exactly. The second one is basically a rehash of the original. So.
Yeah. Okay, scores on doors.
Ooh, I'm going to go...
It always takes a long time. We do this every week.
Yeah, I know.
You think you'd be prepared, wouldn't you? I'm prepared. I know where I'm going.
You're not going to find the score on Google. Come on.
I'm going to go 6.
A survey says...
A disappointed 6. I wanted to give it more, but I think, again, as I said a couple of times now, I think the problems weren't necessarily with Sam Raimi at all. I think it was just with whatever else was going on. I think that affected the flow, and probably why we have lots of montages and things like that, because... I don't know, either that or just everyone else apart from Bruce Campbell only have 1 day to film.
Okay, Damien.
I'm going 7. It's almost bang average, but I'm giving it 2 points for the nods to the old school Jason and the Argonauts style skeletons.
Oh, the
Harryhausen and stuff. All
good.
of that kind of stuff that, for its time, there's nothing wrong with the Deadites. All that effects good. Boombox made me chuckle. That gives it an extra 0.5. So when you add all that up, you get to an extra 2 points.
Cool. I'm going to give it a 5.5. A lot of that's based on some of the scores that I've given other films, and I compare this to them, obviously, in the back of my head, and it just didn't feel as rounded as a lot of the other films. It felt rushed, as I mentioned. Wasn't a horror, wasn't really a comedy for me, and because of that, it's not horror comedy.
Fair enough.
Cool. So that was our spotlight on Army of Darkness. Let us know what you think. We're available on all the podcast streaming services. Everywhere, actually. Apple, Spotify.
And if you're bored and you want to go on YouTube, you can see the recorded live video of everything behind the scenes. You get all the extra stuff that gets cut out of the podcast and all the bickering and bitching that goes on.
And all the bits that the producer screws up.
On the Facebook, we're on the
Instagram,
TikTok,
the Twitter, or as it's known now, the shitter.
So don't forget you can leave reviews and comments also to get in contact with us. You can also use the old-fashioned way of emailing. Our email address, Damien, is
cultfactionpodcast@mail.com.
And for everything else that Cult Faction does, the news, the reviews, every now and again a competition. Well, sometimes. But all the other articles that we produce, Brett, our mothership is
cultfaction.com.
But before we go, we need to find out what we are going to be watching and putting our spotlight on next week. So you can play along at home, dear listeners and viewers. This week's turn is Brett to nominate the movie that he wants us to be reviewing and put the spotlight on next week. So Summers, coming to you.
Here's a story of a lovely lady. No, it's not that.
Fair enough.
I am taking you back in time to 1953.
Ooh.
We're going old. I know we got
Proper
old school, where young David McLean sees a spaceship crash into a sandpit. His father goes to investigate, but comes back all rude and leery. The same happens to his mum and others. David knows that aliens are taking over their bodies. He meets a doctor and astronomer, and together they must stop the alien leader and his evil plans. This is Invaders from Mars.
Cool. I haven't seen this for years. Love this film.
Yeah, this messed me up as a kid.
Spoiler.
What?
They don't need to listen next week. You just said you love it.
I loved
Okay.
He said he hasn't seen it for years. And it is available on the Amazon Prime. You can rent it for £2.49 or buy it for $6.99 in standard definition.
I'll be renting. As I don't
I
need
need to
to
see.
do the notes.
Just to be aware, there was a remake in the late 80s with Kevin Dillon and 1986, directed by Tobe Hooper. Stay away from that one. That's not the one we're reviewing.
No.
1953.
The 1953 one. Although...
Give you a clue, it's black and white.
No, it's not.
Isn't it?
No.
I thought it was.
No.
Or is it just filmed a lot at night? My memory's playing with me.
But just to give you a little clue, a little bit of trivia though. The little boy from the 1953 one is the old man sheriff in the 1986 one. It's a little bit of...
Is this the one where he has to go underground?
What's the sound pit?
Yeah, and he has to go underground. Yeah, cool. It is the one I'm thinking of then. Cool.
It's bloody black and white, isn't it?
I thought it was black and white, but now I kind of have recollections of him meeting the evil alien dude and that kind of being all technicolor. Anyway,
That's what your memory does to you, isn't it?
it is, yeah.
Hey.
It's like dreams.
Yeah.
So, Invaders from Mars.
Cool. Okay, so we've got that next week.
Happy days.
I'm not going to veto that.
No, I'm not vetoing that.
Brilliant. So if you want to watch along and participate, it's on Amazon Prime. $2.49 a rent.
You may be able to find it other places in DVD, but legally that appears to be the only place you can get hold of it.
Fair enough.
Cool. Okay. So without further ado, thanks for listening. I've been Paul Hawkins, joined by
Brett Summers.
Damien Hicks.
and we'll see you next week. That's been Cult Faction.
Yeah, it's Pulp Faction.
And that's my boomstick.
Gonna piss myself.
So you don't get this on there.
Yeah, watchers will think that you do have an issue.